So, you were talking about quality control and people like Maxine Powell and Charlie Atkins and Maurice King. Let's talk about the evolution of your dance steps. I know in the early days. Tell me about how you would do a little shoulder shake.
Oh, that was on Come On. Yeah, that's a little part in Come On at the end. Is Richard said, I'm getting tired, I'm getting tired, I'm getting, and we would say, and we would shake the shoulders and the audience would go wild. That was about as good as it would get, you know, with the distance as far as the dancing was concerned, because primarily we would just stand there and sing. But
could I ask? Okay, Mark, please. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready. Thank you very much.
when I was with the distance, we were noted more or less.
I'm sorry, Otis, you had your hand up.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Say in the early days.
In the early days, when it was Otis Williams in the distance, this is much before the Temps, we were noted for just primarily singing. You know, now we would stand there and sing you into the ground. But for us, the dance steps, we were not into all that much, you know, choreography. When we had our little original hit, Come On, there was a segment in there that Richard would say, I'm getting tired, I'm getting tired, I'm getting and so we would shake our shoulders and the audience would go, wow. That was as good as it would get for us, the distance. But when we evolved to become the Temptations and when Paul Williams joined the group, now Paul was always noted for not only a hell of a singer, but a showman. So when we would rehearse and carry on, he would say, now, we just can't stand there. We got to sing. We have to sell sex. Women love that. Now, my middle name has always been Wallflower, because Eddie Kendricks and myself, we would not dance. I said, dance, man, you better get out my face. I can't. He said, yes, you can. So he encouraged us, and little by little, you know, it got not bad, you know, and then we would work it out in some of those little clubs that we would play in Detroit, and the people would go crazy. I said, oh, you got something here, Paul. So Paul was very good at starting a group for the choreography, you know, and really setting us on the road for being noted for the, you know, the moves that we would do. But as time would have it, and once we started getting, you know, recognized more and more and starting having hits, we were in D.C. at the Howard Theater, and Charlie Atkins was there. I forgot with what act, but we had heard about Charlie, because when I first saw his work, it was with the Cadillacs. And I didn't know it was Charlie's work, but the Cadillacs came to the Fox Theater and messed the place up. Frankie Lyman and the teenagers, they had to tell jokes to cool the audience down to let Frankie and them come on, because the Cadillacs just tore the place out. I mean, they dancing, and at that time they had big baggy suits that would shake when they move and all that flash dance. I said, that's what I'm gonna do, you know. So we found out it was Charlie Atkins. So we were at the we were at the Howard in D.C., and he had heard about us, and we said, man, we would love for you to, you know, show us some of this stuff. So he took us downstairs underneath the stage at the Howard, and he showed us a little slick move on the way you do the things you do, and we fell out. But we never did get a chance to finish it because time was limited. We were gone, he was moving and what have you. So little did we know, in 1966, when Barry started the artist development and Harvard went and got Charlie, that's when it started becoming more of a regular thing. And he sat on many occasions and said that, you know, taught us about show business and would tell us all kind of things about how to be a very good actor in the business. And he started refining what Paul had already started us to do, because we started playing more plush kind of clubs, Club Venus in Baltimore, and then Barry hired a young man by the name of Shelley Berger, who had big visions, I guess even bigger than what we thought, and Barry as well. And that's when we started hearing that Motown acts would be into specials and the Copacabanas in Las Vegas, which we had always wanted to play those kind of rooms and what have you. But you know, we just were doing what we were noted for. And then when Shelley came on and started engineering us to doing the Ed Sullivan shows and certain shows that would really take us from the R&B thing, which we were noted for, and crossing us over for a more universal kind of appeal. Charlie really started turning up the the heat on as far as polishing us and spending more time in artist development, because it got to the point that we would be there so much that, man, we were getting tired of looking at each other, but it was worth it because they were grooming us for the real big stage, the Copacabanas, the Las Vegas, the Atlantic cities, and what have you.
Charlie says that he worked you guys very, very hard, that he would spend time with you individually and also as a group.
That's true. Yeah, because
So what was that kind of, where would that take place? That was across from Hitsville?
that was across, yeah, Barry had 1, 2, 3, about 4 buildings on one side of West Grand Boulevard, and then he bought another building across the street from Motown, which was where artist development was held. And in the back of this building was a big, spacious, not auditorium, but kind of like a hall, and mirrors was installed, and stretch bar and all that, and then there was a little section where we would go after Charlie would finish with as far as the choreography was concerned. Then we would spend time with Maurice King and Johnny Allen and Harvey Fuqua going over the vocals for like Swanee River and Laura. Then you see Laura on a train, and we're teaching us modern harmony, all those kind of songs, which was very challenging, which we loved, you know, because we wanted to be noted for not being pigeonholed, you know, not just for the way you do the things you do in My Girls, whereas they could say, oh, Chimps can sing anything, which later on that's what it evolved to, because we started doing it so that Motown came up with the idea of doing a Mellow Moods, and which really enhanced our overall packaging, because we would take from Mellow Moods the Hello Young Lovers, the Impossible Dreams, the For Once in My Life, and what have you, and we would incorporate that into our show, which gave us a much broader appeal. And I'm glad, because like I said, I believe that's why we are around today, because we were not pigeonholed just for R&B singers.
Was there any concern about Mellow Mood taking you away? First, you should explain to me what In a Mellow Mood was at that time. You were beginning to, with Shelley and Barry's efforts, beginning to take you to a different level. And also, we can talk about the context that time. The crossing over was not looked down upon in maybe the way it might be seen today.
Yeah. I think by and large, see, Mellow Moods was one of those kind of albums that we had to be taught to sing correct harmony. You know, the My Girls and what have you, which were right voicing and what have you, but we were stepping into another element, whereas getting us groomed for those kind of rooms and what have you, Motown, Shelley, Barry, they wanted us to do another kind of packaging as far as our recording was concerned, and Frank Wilson and Jeffrey Bowen were very intuitive enough to select the right kind of songs to make the Mellow Moods album a very notable album, you know, and tunes like Impossible Dream, Hello Young Lovers, For Once in My Life, That's Life, you know, Somewhere, you know, so all those songs were recorded out in L.A. with big band arrangements, you know, the Oliver Nelsons and the Don Costas and H.B. Barnum, you know, full-bodied, blown-up arrangements, and then they would send all those tapes back to L.A., and we would back to Detroit, and then Maurice King would take us aside, and song by song, he would voice each one. And but it was all with the purpose of getting us ready for, like I said, Ed Sullivan's and the Copacabanas and just the TCBs, because we did For Once in My Life on TCB, and Paul did such a great job so that, you know, when we played the Copacabana, it moved Adam Clayton Powell to tears, because of Paul was just that kind of singer that he could touch the human emotion, so that not only Adam Clayton Powell, as we were saying, I could stand there, and the Copa wasn't that big, so you could really see, you know, right up on the audience, and you could see a lot of people, tears welling up in their eyes. So, you know, it was very worthwhile, you know, doing those kind of tunes, because it just took us a notch above the rest of the groups, and I'm just glad.
Let's cut,
Stop for a
please.
second.
Where are we?
Okay, Mark, please. Thank you.
Charlie Atkins is still a taskmaster. He would work you so that you would want to, and no, not want, in fact, I did on a couple of occasions, walk out and cuss. Because the man is so meticulous about the way he wants his choreography done that he will run you over and over and over.
Mark? Thank you.
You, wait for John to tell you he's ready.
And just a little bit lean mark on the table, that's good. And anytime, sir.
Hi, I'm Otis Williams of the Temptations.
Is that the wife for you?
Yep.
You do it tight, please.
This one.
Okay, once more, please, Otis.
Hi, I'm Otis Williams of the Temptations.
Great.
Thank you. And mark it. Thank you.
Charlie Atkins is definitely, without a doubt, a taskmaster. I mean, this man have definite ideas how he wants his routines staged. And the little hitch kicks now, see, Paul's choreography was not as technical as Charlie. See, Charlie is from the Hoofer days. I mean, Cole and Atkins, and they had very precision-like steps. And, you know, you got to move your body and hitch kick, fall back and turn your body, head, you know, all that. Paul's is much more, in lay terms, you know, very easy to do because, like I said, Eddie and myself in particular, we were not dancers. So we could relatively do Paul's without any real problem. Charlie Atkins, Charlie made me on a couple of days say, hold up, man, I got to walk out. And as I walked out, I had to go out and cuss because it was one step I was catching pure D hell doing. And he would not accept nothing but I want it done this way. I ain't going to, you know, make it any easier. You're going to do it. So it becomes a personal challenge. So I said, no. After I went out in the parking lot and cussed and came back in, I said, all right, let's do it. And finally, I would get it, you know.
Sorry. Please.
We're rolling. Quiet, please.
Now, Charlie Atkins is definitely, without a doubt, a taskmaster. I mean, this man would make you, and definitely on a couple of occasions made me stop rehearsing, go out in the parking lot, kick a can, and cuss. Because he has a certain thing in mind as far as his routines are being concerned. I mean, there's things that we learn like ball and chain movement, hitch kick, fade back, come back, and all these moves, but he wants you to come back and be able to sing. He said, you guys are singers first, not dancers, so I'm going to give you these moves, but you will still have wind enough to come back and sing. Now, Paul was much more simple. You know, like I said, Eddie and myself, we were not dancers per se. Paul was. David Ruffin was a very good dancer, and Melvin was good. So we could do Paul's routines, you know, with relative ease. Charlie's, you have to clear your head and really think. Because, I mean, actually, when we found out that we had to rehearse with Charlie, I said, I would get nervous. Because I said, oh, my God, yeah, and all those little hitch kicks, and how come we, but I'm glad, you know, because once you get a Charlie Atkins routine down, it separated you from the rest, and we found that to be very true when we would go out on big packages with, you know, a whole lot of headlining, because they were, back in those days, you would do shows that would have the battle of the groups, and the vibrations, the flamingos, the four tops, and all kind of groups that was very hot at that particular time was on the show. And in most cases, as we started having more and more hits, we would start being the headliner. So when you're on the stage with the flamingos and the vibrations, who were noted for the acrobatic run, flip and then split and come back up, and the audience would be going, ooh, yeah. So it got to the point people saying, I wonder what the Temps going to do. So when we would come out there and do what we were noted for and all the choreography and all that stuff, it was like, who are the rest of those guys? Because it was like a standout. And I was very glad that, you know, we had Charlie, because, like I said, he raised us above the rest. But his choreography, second to none. You know, I see all these other little guys that's coming up with their choreography, but without a doubt, he is definitely the master. And, you know, he's just a stickler. I mean, he would go over and over. We would not leave there until whatever segment of the choreography that he's teaching, we get that before we go on to anything else. We said, oh, yeah, okay, Charlie, but we got that. Let's go on to, no, 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 no. And I can't even call some of the names that he would call us, because you'd be beeping all day long. So he would make sure that we would have that segment, and then we'd go on to the next. And I'm glad because, like I said, when I first saw his work, what he did with the flamingo, the Cadillacs and what have you, I was amazed. And so, like I said, when we had the chance to work with him, even right today, that's who we prefer, was getting Charlie.
You've talked in the past about you watched Gladys Knight and the Pips from the Wings. Did Charlie work with them?
Oh, yeah. See, Gladys Knight and the Pips, there's a story that I like to tell. We were in Cleveland. Barry sent us, now we were so hot in Detroit and the neighboring little, Lansing, Flint, and what have you, that we would stop all shows. So Barry said, we're going to see how good y'all are. We're going to send you out of your element. We're going to send you to Cleveland on a big package. Gladys Knight and the Pips, Shep and the Limelights, the Halos, something like that. They had a big record out. Big packaging. And we opened up the show. Bomb. Gladys and them came out there and killed. And at that time, it was 5 of them. 4 guys and Gladys. Kill. I mean, sent us back to Detroit. We said, we got to rehearse because they wiped us off the map. All right. Now, Charlie hadn't entered the scene. This was still, Paul's teaching us. So about a year later, we had to go to Baltimore, Royal Theater, whole nother ball game. People were talking about, yeah, Gladys, but do you see them Temptations? Like, how about them Cowboys? That's what they were saying. But how about them Temptations? And it was like redemption of the finest because we felt good because, like I said, in Cleveland, they literally ran us off the stage. But when we had that show at the Royal, it was, much better feeling because we could walk out with our heads up high. But then after that, then Charlie, came on the scene. But Gladys and them used to do this song called Giving Up. And Charlie staged them, and at the end, he had them so precise that Bubba, Ed, and Red would unbutton their jacket and do this arm movement and do their legs, because the music was a chum chum, and they would do that. But before they would unbutton and throw their arms up so they could do the move without the hindrance of the coat being tight. The audience went crazy. I said, this man thinks of unbuttoning your button just to do that? But it was all in the proper context. So I said, his mind, when I see him right today, I said, like you hear the thing about taking Einstein's brain and studying and see what made him come up. That's what they should do to Charlie Atkins' brain, because his mind is so wonderful when it comes to staging and kind of that. I don't care about all these other little poop butts that's coming up. None of them can touch Charlie Atkins.
Charlie told me how difficult it was when you guys started doing things in the late 60s, the psychedelic soul with Whitfield, how difficult it was for you to choreograph.
Yeah.
I want to touch on some of those songs in particular. Did you feel a sense that when you were given these songs by Norman Whitfield, that you had to follow the lead, or was it really something you felt you wanted to express, something you and the group wanted to be a part of?
Oh, well, the whole trip about how we got on the psychedelic soul, see, mind you, Norman had recorded Ain't You Proud to Beg, and how he got us from Smokey, like there again, was the inner competition thing. And so Norman kept saying, I got this song for the Temps. I got to get this song on the Temps. And he kept telling Barry this. So Barry said, okay, here's what we do. Smokey has been successful. I think we had about like 8 or 9 hit songs with Smokey. And it was Get Ready. So he said, if Get Ready do not crack the top 10, Norman, you'll get the shot. So, okay, they come out with Get Ready. Get Ready runs up the charts, but I think it stopped somewhere like in the 30s or 20s, somewhere around in there. And it didn't crack the top 10, so Norman was over there to me, rubbing his hands together, and Ain't You Proud to Beg came out, and boom, that. Beauty's Only Skin Deep, a hit. Losing You, a hit. Please Return, a hit. I'll Never Love Another, a hit. I mean, bam, bam, bam in a row. So one day we were in New York City, and Kenny Gamble and myself, we pretty tight, and we were staying at the Warwick Hotel. This is when Sly and the Family Stone emerged with Dance to the Music. And I was telling Kenny, I said, boy, they got a different kind of sound. I like that. I said, we better pay attention to them. Kenny said, yeah, I like them too. Norman and the Temps have always had the kind of rapport that we would sit and talk about records and what make a record happen and why it didn't. So there used to be a club called the, not Rage, I forgot the name of it. It was on the west side of Detroit. And I'm standing outside talking with Norman, and I said, Norman, have you heard this group called Sly and the Family Stone? Yeah, I heard. I said, not take from them, but I said, we ought to do something along those lines, because they had the boom, boom, doom, 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 boom, doom, doom. All groups before they weren't doing nothing like that. And it reminded me of the spiritual days, because some of those spiritual groups, they would have that kind of harmonies. They would break down and do that. Oh, we ain't doing none of that stuff. I said, well, okay. We go out of town, come back in. Norman had recorded the track to Cloud 9. I said, oh, he said, well, yeah, okay, so you're right, let's go and record it. That's how we got on the psychedelic soul bit, was through that kind of thing.
Let me jump